Hi everyone, welcome to T2 surface area of prisms and cylinders. So as we get started, let's go ahead and talk about what is a prism. Okay, a prism is a 3D shape. So it's basically solids connected together to make a 3D shape with two faces. And the two faces are your bases. So I'm drawing over the bases right now. Your bases will always be parallel and congruent. And a cross section is if you were to slice through, like with a knife. I kind of like to think of Fruit Ninja. If you were to slice through, that's a terrible slice. The cross section would look just like the bases. Now, rectangular prisms are unique because there could be many bases. You could call the left and the right faces the bases, and then everything else could be your face. Or because it's a rectangular prism, you can be very relaxed on what you choose to call your bases. But in this case, in every case, bases have to be parallel. Okay, so this hexagonal prism is, without a doubt, the bases have to be the hexagons because no other faces happen to be parallel. Now, I chose this circular prism because that's why this is in this category. We call it a cylinder, but it is indeed a circular prism. Okay. And then down here at the far left, you have a triangular prism. It's not a pyramid. A prism has two congruent bases, and your bases are triangles, okay? And then they give you a nice visual what the cross section would look like. It would look just like the base. So let's talk about naming them. So you always name prisms by the bases, okay? Now, so you look at the bases, which have to be parallel. So in this first image, this top left one, this black one, I see that I've got a triangle in the front, and then there's presumably a triangle in the back. So my bases are triangles, so this would be a triangular prism. Okay. This second one, this blue image, is a rectangular prism because you've got a rectangle in the front and then the back. Notice I'm not calling it a cube because I can't guarantee that all faces are the same. So I'm going to call it a rectangular prism. Now this brown shape here, my two faces happen to be this 5-shaped figure, and a 5-shaped figure would be a pentagon. So this would be pentagonal or pentagonal prism. Now this orange shape in the bottom left, it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's a 6-sided, which would be hexagonal or hexagonal prism. Then my purple shape in the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's got 8 sides on this base, so this would be octagonal prism. And then so on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this would be decagonal prism. That one's weird to say. Rarely say that one. So anyways, that's how you name it. Always make sure you can identify the bases. Once you have the bases, everything's going to sort itself out. So let's talk about how to find surface area. Okay, so S, capital S, stands for surface area. Some books like to call it SA. They represent the same thing, surface area. Now I want you to notice a capital B and a capital P and a lowercase h. Okay, so capital letters, this is important, and maybe the first time you've seen this, capital letters mean they represent a generic formula. Okay, so they can change depending on the shape. So capital B stands for area of the bases, or area of the base. And then since there's two bases, it's 2 times B. Okay, now P stands for perimeter of the base. And then lowercase h, this won't change. So this h does not represent a generic formula. This just represents height of the prism. Okay, so surface area, guys. Surface area is as if I wanted to maybe paint or do wrapping paper around the entire shape. So I only want to know how much area is on each face. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is a hexagonal prism. And what I would want to know is the sum of all the faces, which there's 6 lateral faces. Now the lateral faces, I'm going to erase this. The lateral faces are what connect the bases. Okay, sometimes we call that lateral area. Sometimes you see pH also called lateral area, but we're going to be using this formula. I think it's the most simple and basic, and it makes sense through everyone. But if you see LA, if you're looking up on your own or you see it in another textbook, LA stands for lateral area. So lateral area is the sum of the area, and it does not include the bases. So it's just the walls that connect the bases. All right, let's get started. Let's look at our first shape here. So what I see here is a rectangular prism. Okay. They don't ask you to name it. It's just nice. It's good for you. It's good practice. So the very first thing I want you to do is you always have your formula and always write that down. And what we need to identify is our base. Okay, what is our big B? So I have lots of options here because rectangular prisms, you can be very laxed about it. So I'm going to go ahead and call this small rectangle my base. Okay, please identify it as your base. Make it known that is your base. So what I'm now going to find is each letter, and once I find each letter, I simply just plug it in. So my base, my big B, is going to be, so big B stands for area of base, so that would be 18 times 19. So 18 times 19 is 342. That's my big B, okay? Now let's go ahead, so I'm going to put a little check mark. Now let's go ahead and find big P. Now remember, big P stands for perimeter of the base. So I identified this as my base. So perimeter would be 2 times 18 plus 2 times 19. Oops, that's not a 19. Because remember, perimeter is length around. So this would be 36 plus 38, which would be 74. So my perimeter is 74. Okay, I got my big B, I got my big P, and then my H, guys, H is your height. So height is what connects the bases. So that would be the length between base 1 and base 2. So my height would be 67. Okay. Once you have all 3 letters, you just plug it in. So my surface area is equal to 2 times big B, which is 342, plus perimeter, which is 74, times my height, which is a 67. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this into my calculator. So 2 times 342, that's 684, and then 74 times 67 is pretty big, 4958, and then I just add them together. So 4958 plus 684, and that gives me 5,642. This would be feet squared. Surface area is just adding up the area of each face. And that's it. So if you chose to make this long rectangle your base, you would still get the same answer. It only works for rectangular prisms if you did that. Let's look at our next shape. Ooh, so this guy here, this is a triangular prism. What tells me it's a triangular prism, what I like to think is I think of it like a block of cheese from cartoons where it looks like, you know, what the cat or the mouse always eats. It kind of looks like that block of Swiss cheese. So it's a triangular prism. Not to be confused with pyramid. Okay, guys, so here's our formula for surface area. I need to find three things. So my base, and it doesn't hurt to draw it. My base is this triangle, this triangle, the height is 56, and then this here is 84. Okay, and then they're giving me 70 all the way around. Ooh, that's nice. So that's my base, that triangle. So let's go ahead and find big B. So big B means area of base. So remember, guys, my base here is a triangle, so my big B would represent 1/2 base times height. That would be area of the triangle. Now this B and H is referring to the triangle up top. So this would be 1/2. My base is 84, and my height is 56. Okay, so I'm finding area of the base. So this would be 84 times 56, and I would divide by 2. So big B is 2352. Okay, let's hang on to that number. Let's change colors. Okay, now let's find P, which means perimeter of the base. So that would be length around. So that's just going to be 84 plus 2 times 70. So that's going to be 140 plus 84, and that's 224. And then my height, the height here, is height of the prism. So that's the length between the two bases. So that would be 75. Okay. So now I've got all three of my variables. Once you've got all three, you're ready to go for it and finish the problem. So my surface area is 2 times big B, which is 2352, plus perimeter, which is 224, times your height, which is 75. All right, let's go ahead and solve. So 2 times 2352, that's 4704, plus 224 times 75, that's 16,800. Okay, now just a friendly reminder, this is your lateral area here. So this would be the area of these 3 rectangular walls. That's pretty big. That makes sense that it would be that large. And the triangles are pretty small compared to it. So if you freak out that this is so much bigger than this number, it makes sense speaking that it's just the lateral area, and then this is the 2 bases. Okay, so where were we? I was adding them together. 16,800 plus 4704. Okay, so my surface area would be 21,504 inches squared. Okay, let's try another one. A lovely cylinder. So a cylinder, guys, has the exact same formula, just obviously your B is a circle. So big B is a circle, and they gave me a diameter of 24. So if my diameter is 24, it's in my best interest to focus. Remember, always get the radius. So my radius is 12, and I'm going to work off my big B. Okay. So big B means area of the base. So my base is a circle, so it would be pi r squared. So that would be pi 12 squared. Now they're telling me to use 3.14 and round to the nearest hundredth. So that means do not use your pi button, use 3.14. So when I multiply this through, this is going to be 144 times 3.14. Okay, I get 452.16. That's my big B. Now perimeter of a circle is also known as circumference, which is 2 pi r. So this is going to be 2 pi 12, which is 24 pi, which would then turn into 24 times 3.14. So that's 75.36. That's your perimeter, which is also circumference. And then your H is height of the cylinder, and your height is what connects the bases, so my height would be 16. Okay, we've got our 3 variables. Let's go ahead and plug it in. This is my favorite part. So it's 2 times big B, which is 452.16, plus perimeter, which is 75.36, times my height, which is 16. All right, let's go ahead and multiply everything. 2 times 452.16. That gives me 904.32 plus, 75.36 times 16. That gives me 1205.76. Now I just simply add those together. So my surface area here is 22,110.08. Now it says round to the nearest hundredth. I already was. That's the last. It terminated at the hundredth. So there I am. My final answer. Okay, I hope you're getting the swing of it. Your goal is to find your 3 variables, B, P, and H, and you just simply plug it in. Okay, so I picked this one because there's no picture, and so don't be afraid to draw a picture yourself. A cylinder has a height of 2 centimeters. Okay, so first of all, let me draw my cylinder. Okay, it has a height of 2 centimeters, so that's 2, and a radius of 1 centimeter. Ooh, I love 1. What is its surface area? So because this is a cylinder, my base is a circle where my radius is 1. So base, big B is area of the base, which would be pi r squared, which would be pi 1 squared, which is 1 pi, and they said use 3.14. So big B is 3.14 because 1 times pi is pi. Now perimeter is circumference because it's a circle, and that would be 2 pi r. So that's 2 times 3.14 times r, which is a 1. Okay, so that would turn into 6.28. All right, we've got P, we've got B, and we've got our H. It's over here. It's on our picture. All right, let's change colors and solve this guy. So surface area is 2 times 3.14. Now I'm just plugging everything in, plus perimeter, which is 6.28, times your height, which is a 2. Okay, so this would become 6.28 plus 0.28 times 2, 12.56, and then I just add these together, and I get 18.84 as my surface area. It says round to the nearest hundredth, which it already was, so we are good to go. Centimeters squared, but as you know, they already give you the units, so you really don't have to worry about it, which is nice. Okay, now we're getting to the examples where they give you the surface area, but the unknown are the side lengths. Okay, so this is a cube where every face is a perfect square. So we can still use the formula, and we're going to go for it. We're going to find big B, we're going to find perimeter, we're going to find height. So my big B, guys, is going to be a square. Okay, so area of a square is base times height. Oops, base times height, which would become Z times Z, which is Z squared. Okay, so big B is Z squared. That's fine. We'll hang on to that. My perimeter is adding up all 4 sides, so that would be 4 times Z. Okay. And then my height is what connects the bases. So my height is Z. Now don't freak out. I know there's a lot of Z's, but it actually is going to come out pretty nice when you plug it in. Okay, so they gave us the surface area. So 2,166 equals 2 times big B, which is Z squared, plus perimeter, which is 4Z, times the height, which is also Z. So this would be 2,166 equals 2Z squared plus 4Z squared. Oh, they're both Z squared, so you can add them. Okay, and now we're just relying on our algebra. So let's go ahead and divide by 6. So 2,166 divided by 6 is 361 equals z squared. So now at this point, to undo a squared, you guys know we just have to square root it. And that gives me, now technically it's plus or minus 19, but obviously we're dealing with a cubed where you can't have a negative side length. So it would just be positive 19. I just like to remind you guys that technically square rooting, you always have two answers. Just always stay on your toes with that. Okay, so my answer here is 19 yards. You could always plug it back in and check it and just make sure everything works out. Okay, let's go on. So this is our last example. And here we have a rectangular prism and we need to find a missing side length. Okay, so whatever you want to pick as your base is your call. So I'm going to go ahead and pick this front purple shape, dark purple, as my base. Okay, so my base is this rectangle here. And as you can see, sometimes it's nice to actually draw it off. So that's my base. Okay, so base is, big B is area of the base, which would be 7.6 times R. You can't go any further, leave it there. All right, now let's go ahead and find perimeter of the base. So perimeter of the base would be 2 times R plus 2 times 7.6. So 2 times 7.6, that's 15.2. Okay, so that's my perimeter. You can't go any further because you've got a variable R and then just a constant. Then my height is what connects the bases, and that would be 7.3. All right, we're good to go. Let's plug everything into our formula. So surface area, so 283.8 is equal to 2 times big B, 7.6R, plus perimeter times height. Oh man, I ran out of room. I'm going to erase this. I don't like to squish my work. I find a lot of errors happen when I start squishing my work. So 283.8 equals 2 times big B, which is 7.6R, plus perimeter, 2R plus 15.2. Okay, that's all perimeter times height, which is 7.3. Okay, so now we got to rely on our algebra here. 2 times 7.6, well, that's 15.2. So 15.2R plus, now 7.3 times 2 is 14.6 plus 7.3 times 15.2. That's 110.96, and all of that equals 283.8. Okay, I just realized I forgot my variable here, R. Okay, now I'm going to combine my like terms here. So 15.2 plus 14.6. That gives me 29.8R plus 110.96 equals 283.8. Okay, let's go ahead and subtract. So 283.8 minus 110.96. That gives me 172.84 equals 29.8 R. Okay, now we just have to divide by 29.8. And so that gives me R is 5.8. Woo! That was a doozy. Now again, guys, you could always plug it back into the original and check it. So for example, you could plug R in here. So 7.6 times R, which was 5.8. So big B would be 44.08. Okay, and you can plug it into the P as well. So 2 times 5.8 plus 15.2 That gives me, so big P is 26.8. And we can just do a quick check. So surface area is 2 times 44.08 plus perimeter, which is 268, times your height, which is 7.3. So I'm just doing a quick check because this one was a lot of work involved. So I'd like to make sure that it's going to work out. I'm checking to make sure I'm going to get the same surface area. And oops, I forgot my decimal there. That's not good. Okay, let me just, I'm still just checking. Give me 1 sec. And I plug it in and I got surface area is 283.8. Woo! That is what they gave me to start with. So I realize this looks like a lot of math on one page, but the basics, guys, if you can find your variables, your big B, your big P, and your little h, you are good to go. Just make it a goal to find those 3 things, plug it in. Okay, we're always here for questions, so email for any questions you have, and good luck, and I love to hear from you guys.